Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you for the panelists today. We are going to talk about Bitcoin islands or Bitcoin citadels and what's been going on out there as more and more of us look for a way to perhaps escape our current situation and utilize our Bitcoin. So we have people here that are going to talk about Madeira, Knut at the end here, who's part of the free Madeira advisory board with myself. Ethan here is going to talk about what's going on in the Philippines. Alena's going to talk about what's going on in Paraguay, and Dušan's going to talk about what's going on in Roatan. So we've got a big mix of people here to talk about different projects. But I think where we want to probably kick off is, how do you deal with policymakers, governments, when you are trying to build a project, a Bitcoin citadel, and attract the Bitcoiners to come and live and spend their Bitcoin? Do government get in the way? Are they a problem? Is it something you seek help with? Or have they been friendly? What have you found? And there's probably a lot of people divided here, like, you need their help and you should court them, or fuck those guys. They don't deserve to be part of this Bitcoin journey. So what have you found, Dušan? Because I know it's a pretty unique situation you find yourself in Roatan.
Yes, we are in a very unique situation because in Roatan is in Honduras. It's a beautiful island in Caribbean. And the special thing about Roatan is that there is a free private city called Prospera, which allows Bitcoin to be used as a legal tender. There's no capital gains on Bitcoin. And right now we are working to make sure that Bitcoin can be used as a unit of account. And that would be the first ever jurisdiction in the world where you can do that. But Prospera is a zone, a special economic zone in Honduras. And since it's very pro-freedom, pro-capital and private property, Honduras, as a socialist government, they are not very big friends together. Prospera has legally at least 50 years of freedom by the constitution, but Honduras is kind of reluctant to claim it. So inside of Prospera, it's amazing. We get Bitcoin. All our salaries are in Bitcoin. We are doing our accountancy in Bitcoin. So with the jurisdiction of Prospera, they are very pro-Bitcoin. Right now, they're building the whole payment rails on Bitcoin. In Honduras, when we are doing onboarding on the whole island outside of Prospera, it's a little bit, people are kind of skeptical first, but since Honduras is next to El Salvador, people already know that it's something like that is happening. It's something that works. So they're kind of going into it and trying it out. And the Central Bank of Honduras basically said that they're not going to support Bitcoin, but they're not going to stop it right now. So it's kind of in a vacuum where people can, or the merchants can accept it, but governments is not, helping you out if something breaks. Which is, I think, one of the best positions. Like, the government shouldn't even touch that, and people can handle everything themselves, right? So we onboarded currently more than 60 businesses on Roatan. They can do it on a tax perspective as well. So it's growing. But Honduran government is like, we're kind of seeing that they might be pushing against soon. We'll see.
Okay, and Alena, you want to talk a little bit about the project in Paraguay?
So I'm going to talk about the Penguin Technology Campus. Which has roots maybe 12 years ago in Penguin Academy. And Penguin Academy started originally in Switzerland to teach students of economy to think like programmers. And it developed into a beautiful program that went on to Romania, China, later to Paraguay, to take young people and give them a chance to rewire their brains, basically, and start thinking like problem solvers. And so they've been doing this for many years, and in Asunción there was a Penguin Academy, and then COVID came, and they struggled with financing. And so the two founders of Penguin, one of them was already mining Bitcoin in Europe, and they realized Paraguay has an abundant hydropower, energy from the Itaipu generated between Brazil and Paraguay. And they have no way to use the energy because Paraguay is just a very small economy. So they're selling off the energy cheaply. And so they said, okay, why don't we mine Bitcoin? And with the profits from mining Bitcoin, we will finance education. They tried, by the way, your original question was about the policymakers, right? So they tried to talk to the government and see if they have some support programs for education. They do not. Even the Ministry of Education doesn't do a single dollar for that. They are not interested in educated people, all right? So when they came, we want to do Bitcoin mining, they were not interested. They're reluctant, okay? You need to imagine Paraguay is it's an island in the middle of the continent, right? They're kind of very slow economy, they're factor-driven economy, so they're selling cheap soy, meat, and energy. Okay, that's all the economy stands on. So they were kind of reluctant because Bitcoin mining does not create jobs. So Penguin Academy created a new concept of creating a huge technology campus, taking 2,000 to 3,000 students through the program and financing them, actually paying them to study in a work and study program, financed from the Bitcoin mining profits. And that really took on, and so Penguin got the first 100 megawatt contract from ANDE. ANDE is a state monopoly on energy production. And it kind of took an avalanche. So for what I know, there's at least 2 or 3 more 100 megawatt contracts right now, and it will be launched soon. Let's say within the next 12 months, we could see the full capacity going online. And so Paraguay is actually converting in a Bitcoin mining hub. And for the future, I hope that it's not going to be just stuck with Bitcoin mining, that there will be people like Dušan coming to educate Paraguayans about Bitcoin, and I hope that there will be a lot of Bitcoin companies bringing in the brain power and seeding the seeds and then harvesting the potential that's there.
Actually, the second academy we want to do is with Penguin in their campus, so yes, hopefully we're going to do it in Paraguay.
So there's already collaboration between Roatan and Paraguay. But to start mining in Paraguay, you have to deal with 5 ministries and Sepralat. Besides talking about load testing and all the technical that you have to do when you want to build a substation, of course, because the infrastructure is very bad. The infrastructure for electricity transmission in Paraguay is super unstable. People who live in Asunción know that they have very regularly blackouts. So there's the technical part, but also there's a lot of, walking in the rooms with the policymakers, with the ministries, with ANDE, with Sepralat, who is the only oversight over crypto in the country. And it takes, 18 months, 24 months easily to have all the stems. So as long as you don't touch physical world, I think you're fine. If you're just doing peer-to-peer trades, that's fine. But if you want to touch physical world, you have to deal with everyone who wants to be involved. Luckily, there was a push to have a new legislation just to oversee crypto assets, which was a kind of a political background push from certain sources to fence the market for themselves, and that didn't go through. That legislation proposal would be introducing several new bodies of oversight, and it was just so that didn't happen. And I'm just hopeful that they will see the fruits of this program in 2, 3, 4 years. Because it will allow local people to get the 21st century skills without having to travel abroad and leaving their families. They will be able to stay in their country and just develop whatever businesses they want.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, what's going on in the Philippines? Because people may know Boracay as a beautiful paradise island. They may not know Boracay as a Bitcoin citadel. Could you tell us a little bit about what's going on in the Philippines? And have you had any brushes with the law and the regulators, or is that something you're trying to approach?
Yeah, so quick introduction. Pouch is actually a for-profit company, so maybe a little different And Bitcoin Island is just our community, basically our proving grounds that Bitcoin really works as a payment system. We use the Lightning Network. You could think of Pouch as like Strike or Cash App, just a mobile wallet that connects the Bitcoin Lightning Network with Philippine peso fiat system. So we have around 250 merchants in Boracay, Paradise Tourism Island, accepting Bitcoin payments, and they're mostly auto-converting to Philippine pesos so they can cash out, pay suppliers, whatever, like in the local currency. And we're just building the bridge. I believe we're doing Satoshi's work, but it's not like Bitcoin purist right off the bat. It's, I guess, one step of the ladder at a time to eventually everyone becomes a Bitcoin maxi is our goal, but starting with baby steps. So yeah, we're taking trying to make it as comfortable as possible for everyone, for the business owners as well, to accept Bitcoin. So we have tourists from around the world. Bitcoiners come and spend a few days on Boracay. Some come for months at a time and do like digital nomading and just spend their sats at restaurants, hotels, accept Bitcoin, like all sorts. Actually, you can live off of Bitcoin in Boracay completely, which is pretty sweet. I do enjoy not touching dirty fiat as long as I'm there. Yeah, so now to get to your question about the government, we're applying for licenses with the Central Bank of the Philippines, so we do follow, we have banking partners, so we're obligated to follow all of the rules of the banks, like KYC and terrible things like that, in order to keep the bridge. So the necessary evil that we have to participate in. And as far as, we're not like chasing down politicians, but when the opportunities arise, we do love to have a conversation and talk about why Bitcoin is not only an incredible monetary system and trying to take every little opportunity we can to tell the central bank how great Bitcoin is, and like you guys should actually back your currency with Bitcoin, or you know, like well, we don't outright say fiat sucks, but we try to tactfully say that, right? And then yeah, but we don't chase down politicians necessarily. But we believe that organically it'll happen over time if we just work on the rails and showcase how Bitcoin via the Lightning Network is better than credit cards, is better than the Western Unions of the world. So we lean into that and just prove by building the rails.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm sure they're going to come knocking at your door once they realize there's 250 merchants on Boracay that accept it.
Yep.
And I hope they're not, that they don't come in to constrain you. Knut, what happened in Madeira was kind of the opposite, right? I don't know if you want to explain to the audience here what happened in Madeira with the government and their idea of Bitcoin adoption, education.
Yeah. First of all, I'm a stand-in here on this panel for Nico Lamanen, who should have been here, but he got stuck on Madeira because of weather conditions, and that's about the only downside Madeira has, that sometimes the planes don't take off because it's a very small airport. It's difficult to land there. Having said that, we're me and Daniel and like 15 other Bitcoiners had a big meeting on Madeira about a year ago, and before that, Daniel and Andre Loja, which is the founder of the Free Madeira project, had taken the president of Madeira to Miami to orange pill him. And he was orange pilled by Michael Saylor at Michael Saylor's house for about 2 hours. And he had some members of his cabinet with him. So now we have a whole cabinet of people who are orange pilled, for lack of a better word. So then we had this gathering and formed this non-profit organization called Free Madeira. Free stands for Forum Regional for Economic Education or something like that, but in Portuguese. We've got the government helping us in the sense that they match euro for euro whatever we raise, and are agreeing to start all sorts of Bitcoin projects on the island. The meetups have been going on for a year now, and there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes. A lot of things that we can't really talk about until the president is re-elected, which is a prerequisite for all the other things to happen. But it looks like he's going to win by a landslide, so we're not very worried about that. But Madeira itself, it's a paradise-like island outside the coast of Africa that belongs to Portugal. And it's a semi-autonomous region, which means that they can set tax policies and such in more like they want to do it than whatever Portugal or the EU tells them, because they're also a outermost region of the EU, which means that not all EU regulation applies to Madeira. There's stuff that we cannot do on Madeira, like make Bitcoin legal tender, but we are like the Bitcoin economy within itself and not touching the banking system is basically, there's no problems whatsoever there. We can do whatever we want, and the president and his team is behind all those decisions, so they're not going to fight us. And one of the reasons to do this is like we wanted to shut out the shitcoins as well, because Madeira was at risk of becoming yet another shitcoin casino island like Malta, and we didn't want that. So that's part of why we started the organization, and yeah, working on several Bitcoin-related projects. There's going to be a Bitcoin Commons, akin to that one in Texas. And we're having conversations with the other Bitcoin islands around the world and Bitcoin locations. And if you've ever been to one of these locations, especially when there's a gathering where there are other Bitcoiners around, or a place like this, a Bitcoin conference, you know that all we need is sort of a bunch of Bitcoiners, and all the other fiat monetary problems just go away, because we have this thing, we have these superpowers that we can use that makes us, you know, better than normies, or better equipped than normies, I should say. We're not better than normies, or well, slightly. Yeah, I guess that's basically what's going on in Madeira. Daniel, do you have anything to add to that, or that's the...
No, I think, yeah, the idea to focus on education, which I think Alena was talking about beforehand. Dušan's going to have a lot to say about that as well. And I know Bill did a lot of work in Boracay. That's where it starts, right? And that's what the president was very keen to push. Like, you know, start this organization and base this around education. You've got to educate the local people and make sure that they have access to that knowledge. And that can be done in a multitude of different ways. Consensus Network, Nico, is on the island of Madeira, and they have a booth here, and they translate as many books as they can about Bitcoin into as many languages as they can. So, of course, Portuguese being one of them. And I'm going to pass the baton here, and we'll talk about education and the way that you've done it in your own jurisdictions. Dušan, what have you been doing on Roatan, and how has that been going for you?
So with Roatan, we set up the first Bitcoin Academy in Honduras. It's a physical place on the top of Roatan, so it's the largest, the highest viewpoint on Roatan. It used to be a school before, a Montessori school, but since they grew in size, they needed a different building. So we took over last year, and we set up the Bitcoin Academy there. We have the first Bitcoin ATM on Roatan, which is a non-KYC ATM. We can do that thanks to Prospera as well. We have a little Bitcoin cafe where we accept only Bitcoin. And we do education throughout the island. So we go to schools, and we are one of the first places outside of El Salvador who's running Bitcoin diploma. So we did one graduation already, and right now there are 5 more schools that will start after summer with the diploma. We educated on the island roughly a couple of hundreds of people already. We do regular meetups every month, Bitcoin academies, workshops on self-custody, how to set up a treasure. So we do a lot with schools, with local communities, with merchants. Onboarded 60 merchants already. And but it's hard. It's, as Ethan said, it's some of the people, they just see it as the next PayPal. But for us, it's very important also to explain them the why behind Bitcoin. And that's how the people stay in the ecosystem and they support a circular economy. So what we did for the merchants is that we set up the ATM, since we have a two-way ATM, we set it up for selling the Bitcoin to 0% fee. So we can tell them, look, if you really don't want to touch Bitcoin at this moment, it's okay. You can receive it. You can receive it in the Bitcoin Beach wallet, keep it in a stable set, and then you go to the ATM, you cash it out for dollars, and you can use dollars. And this, as Ethan said, like a first step for them to really become Bitcoiners. But most of them keep the Bitcoin. We really tell them, look, guys, it's not going to be hundreds of people from tomorrow going and spending Bitcoin. Just keep it in Bitcoin and use it in different places. So we met with some of them already many times, and they told us, like, yeah, I received Bitcoin for a steak, and then I paid for a coffee in another place. So this is what we love, creating this circular economy on Roatan. And since it's a pirate island, it used to be one of the most famous pirate islands in Caribbean. Captain Morgan, the one on the bottle of rum, he had his own island there, and there's still a wall of his fortress. Captain Blackbird was located, and there are still estimated 5 pirate treasures on the island, somewhere hidden, because there are a lot of caves on the island, and people go there and search for that. So I love the whole piracy and this oppression, or this resistance against status quo, resistance against government. And this is why we came with a pirate boat here. So if you're interested to learn more about Roatan and what we do there, you can find the pirate boat, and you can really explore what it is. And I love that. We want to make Roatan the Bitcoin island of Caribbean and prepare it a place where Bitcoiners can, when shit hits the fan in many other countries, I want that to be one place where people feel safe and they can really be around Bitcoiners, spend their Bitcoin, and feel good.
Is that why you say rum wasn't built in a day?
Rum?
Knut, I said no jokes backstage. I said no fucking jokes, man. Please. Alena,
I thought this is gonna be the most funny panel. Come on. Did you bury some sats in the sea?
Yeah, I think the one thing that's funny about Roatan, what we did, there is a guy who's a scuba instructor, and he's a Bitcoin maxi. So we created a site called Satoshi's Grave. So when somebody asks you if Satoshi died, you can say yes, and he died on Roatan. So we created Satoshi's Grave, which is a place 12 meters under the sea. There is a huge Bitcoin logo, and we put a treasure chest down there with a bunch of stuff like old treasures, seed plates, old coins and stuff. And we really want to do a crowdsourcing from the world of Bitcoiners to really send us some stuff so that we can put it down there. And when Bitcoin is going to dive, they can, open up the chest and see what's there. So we recently opened it, actually, after 6 months of being there. When I opened it, there was like a black stuff coming out. I was like, is it an octopus dying there, or like what happened? I had no idea if it was a wood or something, but it really looks like the soul and the ghost of Satoshi was released from the grave, And we have it on the camera, so it's crazy. So we really play with a bunch of stuff on Roatan and connecting it with the treasure hunts and education. So definitely, if you want to spend some time in Caribbean, check Roatan, METH, and you can find us.
It'd be cool for people to go down and find it, and instead of put something
exactly,
in. Right.
Exactly. That's the same that we want to do.
The ethos of Bitcoin. So, Alena, how many people are being attracted to Paraguay? Is this like the world's biggest secret?
Yes, I cannot tell you. No, I will. There are certain centers of gravity for Bitcoiners, and the reasons for the creating or it popping up are different. Either you have great tax schedule. So Paraguay has a territorial taxation. You pay 0% of any of your foreign income, which is a huge attraction to Bitcoiners, crypto people in general. Then it's in the middle of nowhere and nobody really knows it, and it's not significant, like politically significant, which may be of a benefit. It's not an island. Sorry, guys, but I mean, I love Madeira. That's gonna be my other home, I think. But it's not an island. It's not landlocked, which is sometimes a good thing. And Paraguay has, I think, a huge brain potential that is not used. And so I believe that with a little bit more work and widening the scope of the technology campus, that's gonna just come. Before I got to Paraguay, I started traveling to Paraguay to 2021. They had some Bitcoiner and crypto chats and forums, but they never met. So when we were there, we organized the first Bitcoin meetup in Penguin Academy. And it seems that the people are just not organized. They're not having a vision of building something, the locals. But as it's becoming a center of gravity for Bitcoiners, and I know at least of 200, 300 Czech and Slovak families, Bitcoiner families that established their presence in Paraguay during the last 2 years. And for what I've heard, just last year, Paraguay acquired over 100,000 new residents. Germany, Czechia, Slovakia. Like you can see some exodus of unhappy people from Europe towards there. And as that's growing and the presence of Bitcoiners is establishing, I think that's becoming a real Bitcoin island in that sense of like, and a Bitcoin island is a place where Bitcoiners go to sleep, right? So the more you have, the more it's becoming part of the culture. And to actually interact with locals and introduce Bitcoin is very easy. Because most of them, about 70% of Paraguayans do not own a bank account. It's just prohibitive in price for them. It's impossible for them to get there. So just telling him, hey, download a wallet and I will send you a few sats. And they're looking at, oh, it's my first saving account. Like, oh, and I can pay with this on Amazon or somewhere. Like, yeah. So they're like opening up to this and they're ready and they have the brains. They just need the opportunities, right?
Yeah. For sure. And this is what is going on in Boracay, because you guys went from 0 merchants to 250 merchants in a matter of, well, how long did that take?
Yeah, it was maybe a year ago by now that we started. From 0, there was no community, no Bitcoiners in Boracay that we knew of at the time. So Bill was the first person to actually, he lived in the Philippines, American guy, lived in the Philippines for a while. He moved to Boracay because it's a tourism hub. And he just started basically going door to door and asking to talk to the owner of the business. A lot of small businesses, restaurants there in Boracay is very chill because the owners literally just hang out on their laptop or whatever, just in their own business. So it's very easy to talk to business owners there in Boracay. And so he would just go talk about Bitcoin or talk about payment systems. However, basically there's no particular sales pitch. It's kind of like organically however it feels right to approach the person. But yeah, very well received. And one of the biggest reasons it's so easy is because we do have the banking rails. So they want pesos. They want to accept Bitcoin, attract new business, but they want pesos. Like, we can help them do that. So it's a very easy sell. We put them on BTC map so people can find them and spend sats there.
What's the percentage of conversions by the merchants? Like, do they convert 80, 150%?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't actually know. Like, it's and actually after the first few months, we really slowed down because we realized we have so many businesses now that like we need more spenders, really, because
that's the trick, right? Because I've heard about this in El Salvador as well. That people that they're ready to accept the Bitcoin, but the people aren't coming to use the Bitcoin.
Yep.
And I think when I spoke to Bill, there was a meetup or there was a conference in March where he was trying to flood the island with Bitcoiners to show the people that had been brave enough to accept Bitcoin in their shop that there are people that are going to come and use it. So
yeah. We hosted a conference in Boracay at the end of March. And yeah, we had maybe a couple hundred Bitcoiners flood the island, which was great for that period of time. And some people stayed, again, like digital nomading. So we do have like some spenders, but like for the businesses that are outside of like the main hub, they don't get as much spending. Like we have churn as well. So some people like decided nobody's showing up. I'm just going to uninstall my wallet. Like, which is fine. We're not trying to force anyone. If it's not working for you, like eventually you'll come around on your own. So yeah, we really are focusing on the spenders now because the more businesses, it just kind of dilutes the spending. So we want everybody to have a good experience with accepting Bitcoin. If you're
May I add something? I think the loop is closing fully when people start having regular income in Bitcoin, or directly Bitcoin or regular purchase of Bitcoin. And that's when they don't feel like, oh, I have to hodl on, but I can actually go and buy stuff. And because I know today and tomorrow I'm getting more. So that's that's one part is to convince merchants to accept, but that's only the ground zero, I feel. And the actual goal is to have people start earning Bitcoin, getting in the international business and using Bitcoin as it's designed. So
this is what we found on Roatan. We as our academy or our educators and baristas, employers are paid only strictly in Bitcoin every 2 weeks. And then they really, when I spoke to them, they go to places that accept Bitcoin because for them it's easier and more convenient to spend it as money than to turn it into cash and then, go around and so on. So that definitely works. And I realized that I was speaking with some of the merchants and we were telling them when we were onboarding the merchants that, they can also use it as a part of the payment for their employees, and it already starts to happen. Nice. And this is really what drives me, like, wow, it's really working. When you close the loop, people start to see it as a money finally, because otherwise they just see that, it's a savings account, so I'll never touch that.
Or
so
it's a risky investment, right?
Yeah, it's a risky investment. Savings account is like way further in understanding. Initially, it's like, that's just speculation, right? But when they start to get it as a payment, suddenly it becomes money for them. And our baristas, they, at that moment when they really received their first Bitcoin as a payment and they paid with it, then when they realized, like, wow, this is really money, it works. I received the coffee, I received this and that. We have doctors accepting Bitcoin on Roatan. There is a eye doctor, a psychologist. So really, like, we're trying to also, like you said, living on Bitcoin in Philippines is possible.
So when the bear market's too long, you have a place to go.
We have a tattoo girl accepting Bitcoin for tattoos. So crazy stuff happening there.
Cool.
Yeah, like I always say that financial advisor must be the easiest job in the world, the upcoming, the next 100 years. Yeah. It's just like, if you have one Satoshi more each year than you had last year, you're fine forever. That's it. So as long as you can do that, you can spend Bitcoin as much as you want.
Yeah. And what on Madeira, we've found like the opposite. Well, the problem on Madeira has been because it's European Union, way more advanced, I suppose, with payment systems, more entrenched in people's minds. Even getting to talk to the business owners, if you do get to talk to them, they're not open to the idea of accepting Bitcoin. We've found it very, very difficult to break down those walls. It's slowly happening. The golf course there is going to start accepting Bitcoin. The brewery on the island is going to start accepting Bitcoin as well. Go ahead, Knut.
Yeah, the trick there, or the tactic, if you will, is to, like, if you orange pill one cafe or one restaurant, central restaurant, then all the Bitcoiners will flock there, and thereby the neighboring restaurants will see what's going on in this restaurant and, like, what happened to their business. Why are these people getting all of these new customers? So that's like the plan. If you orange pill one place, if you focus on one single restaurant or one single cafe, then hopefully that has a network effect after a while and spreads.
Yeah, we saw that as well in Boracay. So anybody out there interested in starting a Bitcoin community or working on it, like just getting that one business, a good relationship with the business owner. What we found in Boracay, like business owners talk to each other. So like one of our best businesses is owned by the head or one of the directors of the Chamber of Commerce. So that really helped like spread like wildfire, I guess, when she got a lot of new business in her bed and breakfast. Then a lot of other business owners, she's like passing along the word, like, oh, Bitcoin is actually really great. You should accept it too. So we get a lot of introductions, like inbound business owners coming to us, which is spectacular. That makes it easier.
And for those of you that are accepting Bitcoin in your business, put yourself out there, because you can now list on BTC Map, right, which is a great place to go and find where you can spend your Bitcoin, or you can list yourselves on Orange Pill app as a business that's friendly to Bitcoiners, because it's still a problem to find those businesses. And this is something we all have to work on to try and spread this message. So we've got like 6 minutes left. I'd like to leave on actionable points. What have you seen? Who's coming? What can people expect? And how can people add value in their own way to any one of your projects if they've been listening to this and are interested in helping spread the Bitcoin message?
So how can you help us here right now with supporting Roatan? In the Satoship, the pirate ship, you can support Bitcoin diploma education on Roatan. So every $50 that we collect, we pay 10-week course of Bitcoin diploma for one student, and you receive also a Bitcoin diploma book. So that's like a very actionable way how you can dedicate your sats towards education on Roatan. Another thing is coming to Roatan and meeting the community, spending your sats in the circular economy, setting up a business in Prospera, super easy to manage from all over the world. And all of this, we have people also from Prospera at the ship, so you can come and just talk there, ask more questions, and yeah, that's how you can interact more.
You need a retired pirate ship captain?
Definitely, man.
Good to know.
Come to captain that.
Are women allowed on your ship?
One more time?
Are women allowed on the ship?
Yes, we have pirates.
It's not for me then.
Sorry, we'll do another one, male only.
Well, for Paraguay, here's the thing. You can go there and start educating people and start doing your business already. If you want to join forces with penguins, then hold your horses a little bit until probably next year. Because on the 1st of August, we're supposed to launch the first 100 megawatt in Hernandarias. There is already 6 megawatts running for 2 years now, financing the small school in Asunción. But next year, we'll be starting to building out the technology campus. So 1.5 years, I'm hopeful. And then I really hope to attract Bitcoiners and all the Bitcoin companies and all the brains. There will be a data center that's hybrid. So we will not just be able to mine Bitcoin, but also do any machine learning and AI and you name it. So this is going to be very high tech, attracting all kinds of verticals. So not just Bitcoin. I hope not too many altcoins, but that's just my personal preference, and I think it should be open to anyone anyways. So yeah, that's how.
Okay, a few things. Number one, come to Boracay, spend sats, talk to the business owners, talk to the staff about Bitcoin. We need more spenders, so anyone who can come would be a great help to us, orange pilling folks. Another one for business owners out there accepting Bitcoin, make sure you're on BTC Map. And then kind of from a developer's perspective and ease of payments perspective, QR payments are great, but I think NFC payments are a little bit easier. I brought a prop, Daniel. Hang on. I was hacking this together, trying to get a NFC card where linked to my pouch account, so I could, to my Philippine peso wallet, so that hopefully here there's places I could just pay with NFC, Lightning, and tap to pay from my Philippine peso wallet. So I think this is, I mean, phones have NFC as well, so you don't need a card. But we're going to try in the Philippines, like giving our most loyal users cards and see if that helps incentivize people to pay more with Lightning. Just make the payment experience a little bit easier, even a little more frictionless than QR codes.
Knut, actionable points?
Yeah, call to action, Madeira. I mean, I was Madeira pilled way before I was orange pilled, so I love that island, and it's a beautiful place. So go to Madeira regardless of your how you intend to use Bitcoin. Having said that, like when you're on Madeira, be a Bitcoiner. Use Bitcoin, get a haircut for Bitcoin, and buy a coffee for Bitcoin, and do all the things you can do. Attend the meetup, attend the what's it called, the pizza meetup thing that Nico is doing.
The eat-up.
The eat-up, yeah. So so get to know, like via Orange Pill app or anything else, like find the other Bitcoiners, hang out with them, and do Bitcoin stuff, because that's how this happens, like ground up and not the other way around.
You can buy a property on Madeira for Bitcoin.
Yes, you can.
So that's a cool
Quite
thing.
easily as well.
And Madeira also has
and also,
5% corporate tax.
Yeah.
So
and you can rent your holiday home for Bitcoin as well. Yeah. That's one of Andre's core businesses. Is his.
I was there in February, and I rented my car for Bitcoin. I paid my apartment in Bitcoin, and like you, I went and found the hairdresser and did all of that stuff. So that is definitely what we need to start doing as Bitcoiners: spend and replace, whatever you want to call it. But unless we do take that step and take that responsibility to push it out to the businesses that have been brave enough to accept it and to listen to the message, it's all going to break down. We need to push it.
Yeah, I used to view Daniel as a walking dating app, but nowadays he's a walking orange pill dispenser.
Well, thank you guys for the panel and everything that you're doing for Bitcoin and education, and appreciate the crowd here today. Thank you.